Welcome back and congratulations again on advancing to this round. In this part of the interview, we'll be diving a little bit deeper into your thinking around student engagement, curriculum design, and your role as a physical education teacher. We're especially interested in how you create an environment that balances relationships, clarity, and appropriate challenge for all learners. You'll notice that these questions ask for specific examples and reflection from your experience. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, sir.
Warm-up question. You made it to the second round, so now let's reflect on your journey. Looking back on your preparation and teaching experiences thus far, what's one core belief that has stayed with you, and then what's one belief that has evolved over time?
I think kind of it's the same statement, and both of them have kind of both stuck with me and evolved. The biggest idea that I had coming into college was that all students are capable of learning at a high level. The way that idea has evolved over time a little bit is I've come to realize it's now my job to take that individualized approach to each student to get them to a high level of education.
Awesome. All right, so your second questions. Relationships and equity within PE. Physical education can be a very vulnerable space for many students. How do you create an environment where all students, including those who feel self-conscious, unmotivated, or underrepresented, feel safe, seen, and supported in your class? And how do you build relationships that foster long-term participation and confidence?
For the students that feel unseen and or underrepresented in my class, I try to combat that with having a little bit of flexibility within my class curriculum. I think starting every day with 2 to 3 choices of what activity we can engage in and allowing the students to vote on that is a little bit better idea of what the students want to do, as well as after having students set goals for what they'd like to accomplish in my class. I think I can take the time to design a curriculum that really centers around that, as well as taking into account the national health standards. As far as building relationships in my class, I think it starts day one with learning students' names, learning about their backgrounds and their family lives. And for the students that may struggle confidence-wise within my class, I think it's important for them to know that everyone has a different experience, and not everyone is supposed to be at the same level physically, just like not everyone's at the same level mentally. And so based on what you want to accomplish this class is how we will measure success.
Question number 3. Clarity, safety, and instructional flow. Clear structure is essential in a physical environment where movement, safety, and engagement intersect. How do you ensure students know exactly what is expected of them physically, behaviorally, and socially during your lessons? And can you walk us through how you structure a typical class period from start to finish?
So I think the class structure is pretty simple for my lower elementary classes. I think it's really good with how much excitement and running around wants to be done in PE to start off the class with like a 5-minute game of tag to let students just go and get nervous energy out since they've been in a traditional classroom all day. And then from there I will get into a structured warm-up in which we'll focus on flexibility and stretching our muscles, as well as getting an acclimated warm-up to increase our heart rate and blood flow. And then I will get into a lecture and or modeling of the class skill / activity that we're working on. And then the last bit of class will be actually the students engaging in that activity. I feel like for students to know what is expected of them, I have a very clear and simple class syllabus. And it really focuses on as long as you collaborate with teammates, you act as a positive peer to your classmates, and you really approach any class activity with a positive mindset and participate to the fullest extent that you're going to be doing what's expected of you within my class.
Awesome. For question number 4, challenge, progression, and cognitive stretch. Effective PE isn't just about physical activity, it's about growth. How do you design lessons that challenge students at their current level while pushing them towards new physical or cognitive skills? And can you share a time when you successfully helped a student, our group, move from comfort to challenge, and what strategies did you use to help get them there?
So kind of like you said in the beginning of the question, it is about growth. I liked the idea of creating a standards-based grading rubric in which, say for a specific unit such as basketball, every skill is laid out, not necessarily in a specific order, but every skill that the students may need to learn and or practice is laid out, and they just check off each box as they move throughout the unit. That way the curriculum itself is geared more individually to each student, and not every student having to reach every benchmark. I also feel like for physical education specifically, it's more so about learning how each fitness concept applies to the rest of your life. And so the biggest thing for me designing challenge-wise is not only do students know, say specifically for basketball, not only do students know that, you know, running up and down the court gets you in good cardiovascular shape, but how can I transfer that into the rest of my life of other ways that I need to get into cardiovascular shape. So I think it's really about internalizing fitness concepts throughout my class, and sometimes they're underlying and not really much of a focus on them because you can just, from the outside perspective, look as we're playing games. But I think it's really how does each class activity apply to the rest of your life outside of the classroom.
Well, thank you for sharing your insights, and we appreciate how thoughtful your approach to physical education and emotional needs of students are. Your responses speak to our district's commitment to inclusive, challenging, and meaningful instruction. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add, or do you have any questions for us?
No, sir.
All right. Have a great day.